Good morning. Hello. How are you today? Are you here for story time? That's wonderful. I'm so happy to see you all and to have you here at the Wenham Museum. My name's Kristen and I'm the director of the museum, and I'm really looking forward to reading Katy and the Big Snow with you today. It's one of my most favorite books. So right now the museum is closed, but we're going to sneak inside to see a very special exhibit. We have all of the original pictures that are inside the book Katy and the Big Snow. So my friend Jane is going to tell us a little bit about those pictures, and then together we can read the story. Come on with me.
Hi everybody, my name is Jane Bowers and I'm the museum's curator. That means that I take care of all the exhibits here. Have you ever wondered where books come from? The books that we love so much to read? Well, somebody had to write them. So we're talking today about Katy and the Big Snow. And Katy and the Big Snow was written and illustrated by a woman named Virginia Lee Burton. And she lived in Gloucester, which is not very far from here. One of the things that you might notice about the illustrations that are on the wall, the original illustrations, is that they don't exactly match the illustrations in the book. Because what happened was, the illustrator did the illustrations in black and white, but the publisher, when they printed the book, added the color later. Isn't that amazing? So you see here, Katy doesn't have any color, but in the book, she does. Isn't that cool to know how these books are made? We actually have lots of the illustrations from Katy and the Big Snow. Let's take a little tour around. So here are more of the illustrations from the book. I'm just going to take a slow walk around, and I'll stop at some that are really super interesting. Like maybe this illustration. This is one of the most popular illustrations we have. It's a map of the whole town. This one you'll probably recognize because it's the unfinished version of her coming out of the garage. Here are more of the illustrations that are all in black and white. Oh, and this one's a favorite too. Chug, chug, chug. Here's another one that shows the route that Katy's going to take. And as Katy went all around the town, you notice this interesting little symbol up here on a lot of the pictures in the book. That is a compass, and it tells us which direction is north, south, east, and west. Here's another illustration with another compass. Ooh, and here's a great illustration with the airport. And here's another version of the map of the whole town. Oh, we're coming to the end. Chug, chug, chug. Katy's on her way back into the garage. And there she is at the end. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, Jane, for telling us a little bit about all of the real pictures from inside Katy and the Big Snow. I think it's almost time for us to read our story, but before we do that, I'm wondering if anybody has a favorite truck with them or some other kind of favorite vehicle. I've brought one in from my house. I have two little boys at home who really like the Paw Patrol. So I brought in this bulldozer. This is Rebel's vehicle, if there's anybody else at home who likes Paw Patrol. And this is pretty great in my house because there's a bulldozer on the front, and there's a scoop, and there's a wrecking ball. So there's all kinds of things you can do with this vehicle. I think that some of you probably have some dump trucks at home. Dump trucks are really great to play with. And I'm wondering what other kinds of trucks or vehicles you have. I see some comments coming in that people have pickup trucks or tow trucks, cement mixers, or maybe you have a forklift. And I think there are also people who like cars more than they like trucks. And I bet there were probably even some helicopters or airplanes or boats out there. There are so many great things you can play with. And of course, There are trains. I see a couple of you have those too. The one in the museum has a lot of trains too. A lot of people like to come here to go downstairs and visit our train galleries. When we're open again, I hope you'll come by and take a visit down there too. So right now, I think it's time to read our story, Katy and the Big Snow. I'll show you what it looks like. This is the front of the book right here. Okay, let's get started. Katy and the Big Snow by Virginia Lee Burton. To Johnny from Ginny. Katy was a beautiful red crawler tractor. She was very big and very strong, and she could do a lot of things. Katy had a bulldozer to push dirt around with. Katy also had a snowplow to plow snow with. Katy belonged to the highway department of the city of Geopolis. The highway department repaired the roads in the summer and kept them clear of snow in the winter so traffic could run in and out and around the city. Here's a map of the city of Geopolis. There's Katy right there at the highway department at number 1. I can find number 1 on the map over here. There's lots of other things on this map that you could look at. There are things on this map that might be in your town too. Like there's a train station down here, a hospital up there. There's also City Hall. This is a fun thing to look at when you have a little bit more time. All summer, Katy worked on the roads with her bulldozer. Katy liked to work. The harder and tougher the job, the better she liked it. Once when the steamroller fell in the pond, Katy pulled it out. The highway department was very proud of her. They used to say, "Nothing can stop her." When winter came, they put snow plows on all the big trucks, and they changed Katy's bulldozer for her snow plow. But Katy was so big and strong, she had to stay home because there was not enough snow for her to plow. Then, early one morning, it started to drizzle. The drizzle turned into rain. The rain turned into snow. By noon, it was 4 inches deep. The highway department sent out the truck plows. By afternoon, the snow was 10 inches deep and still coming down. "Looks like a big snow," they said at the highway department, and sent Katy out. The snow reached the first-story windows, the second-story windows, and then it stopped. One by one, the truck snow plows broke down. Everyone and everything was stopped, but Katy. The city of Geopolis was covered with a thick blanket of snow. Slowly and steadily, Katy started to plow out the city. "Help," called the chief of police. "Help us to get out to protect the city." "Sure," said Katy. "Follow me." So Katy plowed out the center of the city. "Help," called out the postmaster. "Help us get the mail through." "Sure," said Katy. "Follow me." So Katy plowed down to the railway station. "Help, help," called out the telephone company and the electric company. "The poles are down somewhere in East Geopolis." "Follow me," said Katy. So Katy plowed out the roads to East Geopolis. "Help," called out the superintendent of the water department. "There's a break in the water main somewhere in North Geopolis." "Follow me," said Katy. So Katy plowed out the roads to North Geopolis. "Help! Emergency!" called out the doctor. "Help me get this patient to the hospital way out in West Geopolis." "Sure," said Katy. "Follow me." So Katy plowed out the roads to the hospital. "Help, help, help," called out the fire chief. "There's a 3-alarm fire way out in South Geopolis." "Follow me," said Katy. So Katy plowed out the roads to the fire in South Geopolis. On the way back, a plane signaled for help. The airport was snowed in. Katy was beginning to get a little tired, but she wouldn't stop. Not Katy. She hurried over to the airport and plowed out the runways so the airplane could land safely. Then, after she had found the broken down truck plows, she started home. The fire department had put out the fire. The doctor had saved his patient. The water department had repaired the main. The telephone and electricity were on. The mail could go through, and the police could protect the city, thanks to what Katy did. Here's a map of the city, all plowed out. You can see what a wonderful job Katy did plowing out all the snow. Katy finished up the side streets so traffic could move in and out and around the city. Then she went home to rest. Then, and only then, did Katy stop. The end. Thank you all for being such great listeners for that story. That was wonderful. I also wanted to make sure that you know that the person who wrote Katy and the Big Snow, her name is Virginia Lee Burton, that she also wrote this other really great story called Mike Mulligan and His Steam Shovel. And this is all about a steam shovel named Mary Ann and her friend Mike. And this is another really good book that I hope you can read sometime. If you'd like to know even more about all these vehicles and how they came to be, this is another great story called Big Machines. And it's all about Virginia Lee Burton, who is the person who wrote these stories and wrote all the words and drew all the pictures. And in here, it talks about how she made a lot of these stories for her little boys, who are Eris and Michael. And you can see them right on the front. And there's lots more pictures of them inside too. And this book is by another great author called Sherry Dusky Rinker. And a lot of people know Sherry and know her books because of this one. This was her first one, Good Night, Construction Straight. And that's another really great story that I hope you can read sometime if you haven't already. So if we were all together at the museum today, we would probably do some kind of activity or make something really fun for you to take home. But since we all have to stay with our own families right now, I'm going to give you a few ideas of some things that you could do at home that are all about trucks or are inspired by Katy and the Big Snow. So here are some thoughts. You could have a truck car wash if it's okay with the grown-ups in your house. You could get some mud or some soap. You could do this in the sink or in the tub or outside in a bucket. You could also make a compass. Like Jane was showing us, there's a compass on many of the pages inside Katy and the Big Snow. And that's how we know the 4 cardinal directions, which are called north, south, east, and west. So there's a lot you could learn about a compass with the grown-ups who are at home to help you with that. Other things that you could do are you could make a garage for some of your vehicles. Just like when Katy goes inside her garage at the highway department, you could do that. You could also make a city. If you have blocks or recycling or all kinds of things around your house, you could draw roads on a big piece of cardboard or a big piece of paper. You could use Duplos or Legos or really anything you have at home to stack them up to make all different kinds of buildings. The same thing with a garage. You don't just have to use blocks. You could use books or shoe boxes or anything that you might have to really get creative to make something at home for all of your vehicles. We'll post all those suggestions too in the comments of the Facebook event in case any of the grown-ups who are with you would like to look them up again later. So, thank you all very much for coming on this virtual visit to the museum today to read Katy and the Big Snow and to see some of the original illustrations from her book. We have lots of things happening via our Facebook page, so like the one in museum or check out the video section of our page and you'll see some more fun things that you can do at home. So thank you very much, and we hope to see you inside the museum again soon. Bye-bye.